statement at the weekend, the minority rights lobby group said it had notified Parliament in writing that it would be consulting its legal team regarding declaring the process illegal. Now, you'll recall at the end of February, the National Assembly passed a motion to establish an ad hoc committee to review and amend Section 25 of the Constitution to make it possible for the state to expropriate land in the public interest without compensation. That committee is set to embark on its provincial tour to gauge public input from June the 26th. To discuss now, we're joined in our Seapoint studio by AfriForum's Deputy CEO, Ernst Roots. And Ernst, thank you for being with us. So you haven't actually initiated legal action, if I'm correct. Why do you notify Parliament? Could that not seem like it's a threat or maybe even just a PR stunt?
Well, thank you. I think it's the exact opposite. We have notified Parliament that we will be consulting with our legal team because there are very serious concerns about the process that's currently being followed by this committee. If we wanted to be spiteful, we could have just not informed them and then surprised them with legal action towards the end of the process and have the whole thing declared unconstitutional and invalid. But we do believe that the vast majority of people in South Africa are not in favour or don't believe that expropriation without compensation would solve their problems. And therefore, we would like to see a process that is appropriate, in which a process that isn't flawed in the first place, but in the second place, a process that isn't preempted to have a particular outcome. And thirdly, a process that involves and includes the vast majority of people in this country.
Could I understand this? Because to change the Constitution, don't you need the two-thirds majority in the House? I didn't think that consultation was obligatory, or are you saying it is?
Well, as I said, or as we stated in our letter to Parliament, we will be getting a legal opinion on the appropriate way to follow. But it is very clear, looking at the mandate, that there will be a committee, that there is a parliamentary committee, and that there must be consultation with the public. But if you look at the manner in which these consultations have been dealt with up to now, and even more concerning, what is about to happen in the next few weeks, it is very clear to us that there are serious flaws in this process, and the flaws are of such an extent that we believe that the entire process, firstly, it appears to us to be a process of window dressing. It's quite clear to us that they've already decided what they want to do. But secondly, there would not be a real opportunity for the public to participate in these processes.
But Mr. Roots, if there's only a two-third majority needed and the consultation is something that's just an extra, maybe something that the National Assembly has just decided to do, but it's not required to do, then you have no legal standing. Didn't you check that first?
Well, as I said to you in my previous answer, we have informed the parliamentary committee that we will be obtaining a legal opinion about this issue. Yes, you need a two-thirds majority to change the constitution, but it was also stated in the motion that was adopted by Parliament that there will be a consultation process, and we believe that the process is very flawed.
Okay, so you've said that the venues and the times are not known to the public. I did go and look at the venues. Some of them are there, some aren't. You're right, the times aren't there. But the committee co-chair, Vincent Smith, said this has been out for a very long time. He also dismissed what you said about the wards and this being skewed towards sort of ANC-dominated areas. He says that there are 4 meetings in the Western Cape, which is controlled by the DA. Your response to his response?
Well, we didn't say that every single meeting every single consultation meeting would be in a ward that's dominated by the ANC, but you can clearly see the majority of them are. And there are major metropolitan areas that are just simply excluded from this process. There's not going to be a meeting in Port Elizabeth, there's not going to be one in Polokwane, there's not going to be one in Durban, there's not going to be one in Bloemfontein, there's going to be one in Boitshabelo next to Bloemfontein, where the ANC has a strong support base. And even in the bigger towns, if you look at the rural provinces, let's take Northwest, for example, there's not going to be a meeting in Potchefstroom, there's not going to be one in Klerksdorp, there's not going to be one in Kroonstad. So all of these areas are just simply excluded. So I think if you look at where the meetings, what areas have been chosen, and yes, as you've said, we still don't know when the meetings are going to start. There's been two contradictory lists published by Parliament. We don't know which one is the actual list because the two don't speak with each other. But if you look at the areas that have been chosen, it is very clear. And if you draw, let's say, a radius around that and see how many people would be included if you have to travel for an hour to attend this meeting, you would still see that the vast majority of people in this country are excluded. This motion has the potential to be the most significant constitutional change since the adoption of the Constitution. But regardless of that, it is very clear that there's not that the process that is being followed to get the public's opinion is a very half-hearted process. And secondly, it appears to us that the process is being structured in such a way as to preempt that the outcome of this process would be that which serves or supports the notion that the ANC has been carrying all along.
Well, it seemed the National Assembly supported that as well. The committee co-chair, Vincent Smith, said that they would welcome any input into the schedule. Why are you threatening legal action rather than going to that ad hoc committee and giving your thoughts?
Well, we're doing both. I'm in Cape Town at the moment. Tomorrow we will go to Parliament to present our memorandum, to present our inputs to Parliament. We've sent a letter to Parliament today to the committee to request AfriForum to do an oral submission. And we've stated in our initial letter that our initial letter was an AfriForum letter, not an attorney's letter. And what we've said there is we listed all the flaws with the process and we gave them the opportunity to fix those flaws. So it's not a threatening of legal action, it's us informing them that they are currently executing a flawed process. And they have the opportunity to fix that. But we've also said in our letter that we reserve our rights. So while we believe that the process is flawed, and if the process continues the way it's currently being organized or disorganized, then there would be a very strong grounds, we believe, or we think there might be strong grounds to challenge it in court. But regardless of that, we believe that it is very important for AfriForum to participate and to contribute because we have very serious thoughts on this issue and we believe that we have important information that we want to put on the table. So it's almost paradoxical. We believe the process to be flawed, but regardless of that, we will still be participating as much as we can.
You are against expropriation without compensation. That seems clear. Are you not looking for legal challenges all the way along? You know, they call it spray and pray. Just try and block wherever you can.
No, that's not the strategy. One of the reasons why we are against expropriation without compensation, not counting the economic aspect, is the fact that we know that the vast majority of people in this country are not in favor of expropriation without compensation. The fact that the party representing the majority of people voted for this does not mean that the majority of people support this. We've seen opinion surveys in which 1% of people have indicated that they believe more land reform would improve their lives. We've seen another opinion survey which found that 0.6% of people in South Africa believe that land reform is the biggest unresolved problem in South Africa. And we can look at this so-called hunger for land that we hear the president talking about and members of the ANC talking about. If you look at all the indicators are that the vast majority of, especially black people, but to a lesser degree also white people in South Africa, have a need to own property and to have their property rights protected in urban areas and not to be farmers or to own rural land. But despite that, that's the impression you get when you listen to the ANC. So we believe that the ruling party and the EFF for that matter are not in touch with what people on ground level are experiencing. And the reason why we are concerned about this flawed process is it is very clear that the vast majority of people in this country are excluded from the process. And we believe if the majority of people are included, then we would also see that the vast majority of people don't think expropriation without compensation is the most important thing that we should be doing right now.
All right, and we'll try to see if that ad hoc committee would like to respond further. Thank you very much, AfriForum's Deputy CEO, Ernst Roots. We take a short break. We'll be back with more news.